Draft for game number 1 has started, and as you can see we have Griefers 2 going up against the Outlaws right now. So in the setup that we're looking at, we're still at the HGC 2017, and this is the last qualifier. It's the third qualifier of 3. We have 6 teams already qualified for the league. Dignitas and Fnatic of course qualified through being at BlizzCon. Misfits and 2B's Determined qualified in the first qualifier for Europe, and in the second qualifier we had the Damascus boys qualifier together with B Genius. This is the last one, and we are in the second round right now. It's a best of 3 series between Griefers 2 and the Outlaws. We are currently in the Varian patch, and Varian is allowed for the first time in the European qualifiers. The hero is available. At this point though, we have Malfurion banned out, we have Zeratul banned out. We're looking at Sky Temple here, so especially that Zeratul ban in that light is of course being explained. And I'm also not alone, I have Tetcher with me, and we're going to give you the coverage here for our first game at Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, and the starting pick with the Illidan, while the Zeratul is banned out, like you already did say. So a bit of a focus in terms of the melee assassins slash bruisers from the Outlaws, which is interesting considering, like you said, Varian is now in the game, and he has the ability that blocks basic attacks to his parry on his W. So it's interesting to see a focus on these melee assassins. It could have a correlation there.
Varian is definitely going to be interesting for this tournament. We had him allowed in other online tournaments already before, and what happened was that some teams, 2B's Determined, they played him and they just stacked stuns on the target. So after level 4 you really could just like stun lock targets like we had back in the days with Muradin or ETC plus Tyrande, and it worked so well that most teams after that started to ban him out as a first ban. Now, I'm not saying that you necessarily have to do that in every single game, but I would still be surprised if teams would not at least give him a chance here. He's pretty much... my personal opinion is that he doesn't really fit as a solo warrior. It's not really his role. I think one of those second tanks or melee assassin styles, if you go for the Twin Blades, works more, even though the Colossal Smash is currently dominant on him. But in this case, we have a bit of a different game that is being played, since Grievous 2 decided to play now a Tacita plus Tracer combo, which is of course also very powerful. And the Outlaws, I mean, Tetcher, have been talking about this a bit since we had Illidan here, are playing one of those Illidan combos, which makes it kind of likely that they might look at Tyrael at this point, and it could also be banned out if the Outlaws don't really commit to it right now.
Yeah, the Tyrael could be a solid ban for either team actually, because it does combo, like you said, with the Illidan, so there's a chance that they could pick it straight up, especially seeing with the Tastar being denied, both teams could have been would have been fighting over that otherwise. But Outlaws taking the Brightwing, another hero that combines super well with the Task Tracer and with Illidan. So both teams sort of fighting over the same heroes here. Zarya, another one who works perfectly in both of these compositions, getting removed. I would not be surprised to see the Outlaws ban out Tyrael, like you did say here.
Now the thing is that we have actually in this setup now 2 globals on the side of the Outlaws, whereas there's no globals for Grievous 2 just yet. So Outlaws have the Brightwing and they have the Falstad, which is actually like doing wonders for them for the second temple phase in particular. So I'm wondering how Grievous 2 is reacting to this. The ETC is banned out, so the stage dive can't really work here any longer either. Do you think that they're actually going to go into Dehaka, or do they just say like, okay, we're going to play around? Well, question is answered, I suppose.
Yeah, answered very quickly.
That was fast.
The Dehaka and the Lily coming in, so Tyrael has been left open for either team to pick here. That could still be a last pick for Griefers if they want to leave Lily as their sort of main support, as opposed to a damage Lily that we're seeing a lot of the times now, which is still fine. Combined with Tass, it could still be enough for Tracer, especially seeing as we did see Griefers 2 run Tracer with the, I think it's level 13, level 16 talent, the Leeching Shots that allows her to heal herself. Combine that with Leeching Plasma, you get a lot of sustain for Tracer. Outlaws picking up the Tyrael we called a bit earlier.
Yeah, Tyrael doesn't surprise me. We said that they are trying to dive here. They have... oh, okay.
Oh,
so they have the Avatar with it now too. That is actually starting to become a really... like, at this point, Outlaws have a very aggressive composition. They have with Avatar the ability to soak on counter lanes. Avatar has to be very careful, though, on the other hand, of Dehaka, so that is going to become a bit of a problem for him. But besides that, what is going to be the last pick here? I still feel that they need to have another... Do they need another tank? We have seen some Dehaka solo tanking, and with the double support, you should be able to sustain through this, right?
I think they could. I think Lily will offer enough healing, especially if they're going with the Jug of 1,000 Cups, which is quite likely due to the lack of CC on the side of Outlaws beyond the Polymorph. So, yeah, I think it is. And they do go with the Alarak, so a little bit of extra damage here. which is pretty nice. Dropping the silence onto any of these heroes is going to be a pretty big deal. But Khaldor, overall, this is basically going to come down to a carry fight. Who is the better auto-attack carry between Tracer and Illidan?
Yeah, overall, I would actually say... Well, don't you think that you can play, or that Outlaws can at least to a certain extent play around them a bit? I feel like with the amount of globals that they have, they could try and just like try and raise structures here, take a few of them down, and try to get...
Abathur's split pushes a little. Like he's obviously going to go symbiote build to keep Illidan alive, but if he just positions himself well for good soak, and like you said, there could be some good play arounds, but the Haka's going to have his work cut out.
Because I really think they could try and just simply go through that, maybe for a lead in experience, and then try to capitalize on that. But for now, we have, I would say, two very aggressive comms, like really just like very agile comms, especially during the fights with the Tracer in there, the silence threat on the side of the Alarak, and the Haka, of course, so just like bush stalker in from the back. Great first game that we have. Grievous 2, ladies and gentlemen, going up against the Outlaws here in our first game at the HGC Qualifier number 3. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the game is on, and right now we are actually in our first map, and it is Sky Temple. We have to the left side the Polish team, and it is, as you can see here already, Shiku on the Haka. We have Kreku on Tasada, Polat on Liming, Polat on Lili, Nika on Liming, Juve on Tracer, and to the right side, currently Falstad played by AR for the Outlaws. We're seeing Focus on Tyrael, Monster Bear on Brightwing, Duck on Illidan, and Devil on Abathur. So yeah, pretty cool comms for both sides. And as already said before, I'm here with Tetcher. We're going to bring you the coverage here today.
Yes, very long wait on the talents coming in here for Grievous 2, but they do begin to pick them up right now. We've got two Globe talents, the Power Hungry for Li Ming, and of course the Conjurer's Pursuit for Tassadar. Lili, though, waiting her talent out at the moment. She's staying very far back. She could, if she wanted to, drop a Cloud Serpent onto the Tracer just for a little bit of poke damage, but instead, just staying back, staying a little bit hidden for now.
Yeah, but we're talking about like talents in general. We've been debating a bit, and you've been alluding to that during the draft about Abathur and what kind of build he's going to go for. We have, of course, still a few hybrid builds available, especially going into the... Oh, a nice isolation here against AR. But Abathur, yeah, he could go for a bit of a hybrid, but so far he's already focusing with a pressurized glance onto a support build. So on 13 and 16, he can still decide to go into more of a locust focused build. But with the Illidan here, I think it's more likely that we're going to see a full support build on his part to try and help out Illidan first of all, but if need be, also the Tyrael up at the front line.
And with Lili, we are seeing her finally picking her talent going into the Timeless Creature. So basically, it's going to be a more of a support build for her as well, just with the extra bonus of having that blind to try and deal with Illidan. So that Timeless Creature pretty much works on all of the damage dealers. You of course have the Lili Tracer with a Cloud Serpent on her, allowing her to do good damage, and you have the Lili Li Ming comp, which can go really well.
Yeah, also one of the things that we have to point out right now is that we have one of the things with the second temple phase. Illidan is now moving into the middle, so he was at the bot lane. We have therefore Devil moving to the bottom. He's already starting to mine the places here, but he needs to be very careful against the Dehaka, who could try and snipe him. And at the same time, if the bot lane is being pressured for the second temple phase, we could try and see a play for the fountain. But now in the middle of the map, Dark is about to fall, getting hunted down by Juve, who's really aggressive, shoots him down, and that is a massive lead all of a sudden on the side of Grievous too.
Yeah, that grenade really on point, able to hit it there. Shiku, though, taking a little bit of harassment. He's actually driven AR all the way into towers, trying to turn it around and kill him with the help of Abathur on AR. Keeps him alive, but Kreku gets the snipe.
The Tassadar, and he's like, I'm finally useful. Hits the storm and kills someone. Usually Tassadar is also known as the Q-bot, since all that he does is provide shields to the entire time, unless he gets a playmaking force wall off. But in this case, he finally was able to get a finishing blow in, and he was probably very happy about that.
Yeah, considering that Tassadar, his auto attacks is literally throwing a pure psionic energy at someone, you feel they should have more impact, but they're literally just like throwing tennis balls at people that glow blue. But now Juve try to take down AR, try to push him as quick as possible, and also get as many melees off as possible to build that ultimate stack so he can drop it again and continue to ruin Illidan's day. And they do, in fact, get Falstad with the help of Li Ming.
Talking about, yeah, ruining someone's day, that Falstad, as he said, was just taken down by Li Ming. That was very nicely played also. First of all, Tracer misses the kill against Falstad and doesn't get the ult in, so Juve is slightly misplaying that. But at the same time now, we saw the play on the side of Li Ming there, and that was really well executed. Falstad just totally didn't see her, was outside of the vision zone. Lily, in the meantime, moved to the bottom, was attempting to get a snipe on Abathar, who saw it coming and moved behind the gate again. But the fight for the top temple is still on. But just look at the experience here. Against the Abathar composition, we are still seeing Grievous 2 with an entire level lead.
Yeah, and we see a bit of a Tyrant variation from what I at least said at the start. The Mass Vortex for Lily, she still wants that extra blind. Not going with the healing Cloud Serpent here. She is just going to be relying on her own healing down the Cloud Serpent just for a bit of extra damage, which is still pretty cool because at least Tracer, she's going to get a lot of sustain from Tassadar, and Li Ming has the dominance now. So that extra damage, if she can get the kill with it, she's going to be able to get her health back that way.
I mean, overall, when we're talking talent diversity, we've mentioned a few of them, though, but just to go through them again. Level 1, the Hero Stalker, sorry, level 4, the Hero Stalker alone for Dehaka is already something that we don't see all too often. Most of the time now that you play with Primal Aggression and find yourself in a split-pushing position a fair amount, you're actually going to try and get your essence from minion kills instead from takedowns, but as both of the compositions here are super aggressive, Dehaka is going to try and get his sustain throughout big team fights. And we have also Tracer going for the Untouchable, which is actually a talent that a lot of Tracer players don't really go for because it's not the safest in that sense that you lose all of the stacks once that you fall. But Juve is just zipping around the entire time, and he's at 2 stacks already, which gives him a bit of extra damage. As long as he doesn't die and can keep that with the double support, it's likely, then he should be able to make huge plays in the later stages of the game in particular.
Yeah, another little variation we see on Juve here is he's taking the jumper on level 7. A lot of times on Tracers we're seeing the spatial echo coming in a bit, allowing them to get the extra blink charges once you get takedowns. But against this comp, with Falstad with the barrel roll and Illidan, who's just so hard to take down, makes a lot of sense to avoid that, and also the fact you're one less body thanks to Abathar being in the game. So it makes a bit more sense. You're not going to get as many takedowns as you would normally, so jumper, you get the extra blink for free.
Another thing that we see is a mule coming into play for Abathar, so he's really trying to just like cater towards the map and the objective. Dark is about to go down, escapes for a moment, but is still locked into place. Juve has missed a few of his ult so far in the game, and now Tracer is down, and that's the problem right there, losing the stacks already as is. Before that, Juve missing already 1 or 2 of his ults, could have maybe gotten a kill a bit earlier, even against Falstad again, but they still make that trade. Tracer against Illidan as the temple at the bot lane is now being fought over, and they are starting to take their position here. Again, they have to destroy structures, or Abathar will simply drop the mule and heal them up again. But so far, with 5 against 2 kills and the early level 10 ability, the Polish team is doing very well here.
Yeah, they're beginning to push in by themselves here, even without Tracer, because Falstad is continuing to push the top lane, and Illidan, at least up until a couple seconds ago, was pushing mid lane. He's now rotating up to help Falstad in the top lane, because they have the Locust, they have 2 heroes up here. They're going to attempt to push this as quick as possible to try and race out Griefers 2, but Griefers 2, seeing this on the map, pushing in the bot lane. They're guaranteeing that fort, using as few shots on it as possible.
Illidan is at the fort at the top lane right now, and this is one of the things that we have seen a lot from the Korean teams in particular, that they're very aggressive with Illidan compositions and try to pressure structures as soon as they can. And because they lost the bot lane, they had to pressure the top here, so Falstad alone wouldn't really have been able to get as much damage in. The rotation of Illidan therefore makes sense. It's still a level disadvantage that they have here, as Lily is soaking the last few shots at the bot lane, but they're trying to see if they can maybe get killed somewhere. And again, another missed ult on the side of Juve. He's pretty unlucky with those.
Yeah, there is an Archon coming in here, I will say, though, for the Griefers 2 from Kraku, giving them that extra damage to try and work their way through all of this sustain coming in for Outlaws. But Outlaws, they have their heroics too. We have the Metamorphosis, we have the Ultimate Evolution now, so the double Illidan potential there. But Griefers 2 still continuing to snowball ahead.
I mean, Grievous 2 are completely driving this game at this point. They have the bot fort eliminated, they're going for the one in the middle, take the tower down. Illidan is waiting to see if he can maybe make some kind of play. But the level 13 talent alone would give a massive lead over to the Polish team. And they are just simply moving from one camp to another, also through the Abathar mines, of course. The toxic nests that we're seeing are more so to identify whenever the boss is going to be attacked. So Abathar is providing them with a fair amount of vision. But I really like the way that Grievous 2 is currently using their heroes. Shiro at the top lane is getting experience. The globals so far haven't really given the value that the Outlaws want to the red team. So Grievous 2 with very nice coordination.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job really preventing the global from coming into effect, like you did say. They even saved that top 4, which is a huge deal. It won't last for long. And right now, Falstad attempting to punish Shikl here, trying to burst him down with the help of Abathar. Shikl just pulls Falstad back, so even if he goes down, there's a chance for his team to try and capitalize on this, but instead, with only Tassadar here, it's very unlikely they'll make a play, and Brightwing coming up to join as well. No way they're going to be able to defend this fort, but they were able to at least keep Sheku alive.
It feels a little bit like they're always one step too late. They want to go onto the hero, onto the Haka, but then Tassadar comes in, gives a shield. Now they move down to the bot lane. They have the level 13 talent. Sanctification could be a problem as Focus checks if boss is taken, and I like the decision here. Grievous 2 saying, guys, they know where we are, they have already the Mighty Gust available, they have also Tyrael, let's just not take it, we can't sneak it. So we're simply trying to sneak the boss, and as soon as they realize, hey, our opponent sniffed us out, they immediately move back and say like, okay, let's let it go.
Yeah, they know they have a talent advantage still, including stuff like the Shrink Ray to help counter this Illidan even more and just prevent so much extra carrying. And AR taking a lot of damage there by flying in the middle of the lane, just getting hit by everyone, and now having to be healed up by Monster Bear, who teleports down to help him out. Eva drops a blink heal for good measure. But right now, Dak, once again, found out Yuva just on fire, hunting him down here. Feel the hatred of 10,000 Yuvas here. He does not want that Illidan to get anything done.
Yeah, Yuva is currently a bit on a hunt. He is also accumulating stacks again for his level 4 talent. We currently see him at 2, which is resulting in 4% extra damage. Nothing crazy just yet, but of course that can snowball a bit if he manages to stay alive this time. The last time, this is when he died here. We have the level 13 talents now on the side of the Outlaws, and that leaves us again with Soma Transference. So Illidan has a bit more survivability thanks to this now. The Nimble Defender is going to help out with it too. And yeah, I'm a bit curious to see if they, at this point, might be able to force one of these team fights and take it, because the level lead is still there for Grievous 2. Yuva moving back, but this could be another big battle before level 16 hits and drops another big advantage into the hands of the blue team.
That orb by Nika doing so much damage, catching AR in full force. AR is just getting hit by everything that happens to come out from the side. In comes Focus, he sanks the pulse bomb, everyone immediately dives in, but Kreku pops the avatar. Nika getting focused down, he gets the dominance once, twice, he's still going, he tries to take down Dak as well. AR super low, they're trying to turn it around, they get Dak too, and that is a 4 for 0. Can they make it 5? They can't chase down Monster Bear. But that was beautiful. The sack was nice, and the follow-up was nice too. But Nika just getting those dominant stacks and immediately sustaining himself.
And also, a lot of this was on a 4 versus 5 setup. So the Haka, he joined in eventually, but it took him quite a bit of time to make that happen. Now the keep goes down, the level 16 talent is ready. And this is starting to really become a disaster for the red team. You're having 11 kills against 2 as is. And if you look at the structural position on the map, there's a keep down and not a single fort ready for the red team. The Outlaws are just falling farther and farther behind, and at this pace I just don't see them making any plays anytime soon. There's 5 stacks in there for 10% extra damage for Yuva, and his damage output is already at 20,000, so he's getting more and more in together with Liming, who, as you said, got the stacks and the resets in the last fight. But this is really bad for Outlaws right now. This is not looking pretty at all.
Yeah, and Yuva, a lot of people now following him for his just unique look on builds. Very clever player. We already talked about him coaching different teams here. Very mechanically skilled as well, though, as we can see with the Locked and Loaded coming in as his level 7 talent. The most difficult talent to use on Tracer, as you do have to activate it on every reload if you want the maximum damage output. But if you can, it's easily the one with the biggest reward. We'll see how well he's able to keep up with that. 2 for 1 on Lili, higher cooldown, but healing 2 heroes instead for extra stuff there. And of course the elongated tongue on the Dehaka to try and catch heroes more efficiently.
Dehaka also at the top lane has now a pretty easy time, because we have first of all the vision tower claimed by them and also the camp pushing in, so he knows pretty much exactly what's happening and who's heading over towards his temple. And there we have already Falstad moving in. Dehaka has easily survivability to outstain this until Tassadar is there, or he should at least. Yuva is already joining up. There comes Kreku, shield comes in. Abathar is in as well. Here comes the pulse bomb, and once again the pressure on to Falstad, but the sanctification is on the ground as they're focusing now. Chico, he uses the burrow, is still alive. Nice Mighty Gust, isolating the Haka, taking him down, but the fight is not over yet.
The AoE damage from Kreku is huge. He dimensional shifts through, and oh my god, wiped off the map by Nika and Yuva. That is a 1 for 5 at the end there. Kreku just tanking through that, basically becoming the tank for the team when Dehaka gets taken out.
And we have massive damage output, of course, by Li Ming in particular, but also Tracer still on 25,000, having 9 stacks already on her untouchable, and that fight up there. The isolation of the Haka was great, and they finally got the kill in, but that was just simply not enough. Leading in the back could heal everyone out, as we just had that entire ensemble jump deep into it. And yeah, they got the resets off with Li Ming, and from that point on it was just blowing one target after another up, with Juve in particular chipping away at the heroes. Li Ming sustaining herself through the Temple Guardians once again. And this is going to be the last keep. If they just move down to the bot lane, they can either go for the boss once they hit level 20, or they can go straight for the Temple. And this should be a checkmate at this point.
It should be. Mule is available, so they might be able to delay this out and at least keep their core alive just for like one last attempt here. In fact, the Mule will be available to even just repair that keep to protect that for a little bit and delay this out. But for now, all the heroes alive. This is basically the last chance for Outlaws to fight before level 20 is hit. They dodge out the orb. Lily has now arrived, so we're going to see Griefers 2 very willing to fight right now. All heroics available, except for the Archon, which will be up any second now. So here we might see the last engagement of the game.
Yeah, Griefers 2 is still a bit hesitant since they want level 20, but they don't get that yet. They have so much pressure against Falstad, though. He used the Mighty Gust again. Isolation on Tyrael. In comes with Metamorphosis, Illidan, and had that immediately by Abathur. Lily, of course, once again with their heals, as we're seeing Sanctification on the ground. They're trying to go on Kreku. And once more, we have Tracer just eliminating the first few targets, and Li Ming capitalizing on the resets.
Juve trying to get over the wall. He doesn't have Tracer around, so he doesn't have the vision. Mika gives it to him. AR baiting himself back over the wall, but gets killed. Now it's just the ultimate evolution, and that is going to be game Khaldor. That is once again a 5-4-0. They're not even going to go for the core. They're just going to take the boss here.
The thing is that Juve really applies so much pressure to the single targets, and with the help of Li Ming, as soon as they get the first kill in, Li Ming just says thank you and spams her abilities like crazy, and it just starts a snowball that so far the red team has not been able to stop. In the kill count alone, we have 19 kills against 3. Abathur is sitting at base and attempts to at least stop the lanes from pressuring in, but of course that boss is going to be taken. They even delay it to wait for Li Ming, who moved back to the Nexus and heal up. And of course, fill her mana pockets again. The Temple is also going to be still soaked by Polator, but that's the last keep gone off the game, and they're just simply going to push this through, and this is an unstoppable push with a 3-level difference. And also, of course, the extra talent on 20.
Yeah, even with the Mule, they won't be able to save this unless they can pull off just the most miraculous defense. Mule is dropped onto the core. That's going to begin repairing the damage that the Force has done. But there's 2 sets of Siege Giants here, 1 boss, and a very aggressive Griefers 2 beginning to push forward here. Dak already taking most of his health worth of damage. Can they hold it? It looks unlikely, Khaldor.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, once more, the copy is nearly down. Sanctification is on the ground, but that doesn't change anything. Tyrael still falls. Down goes Illidan, and this is the end of game number 1, as we see Griefers 2 take the lead in the best of 3 series against the Outlaws in the best of 3 at the HGC 2017. Okay, everybody, we are in game number 2, again, HGC 2017. It's the last out of 3 qualifiers. The teams that are qualified, Fnatic, Dignitas, Misfits, To Be Determined, and through the last qualifier, the Damascus Boys and Be Genius. 2 more teams can make it into the league and get $100,000 attendance fee if they make it through the entire year. We have now Infernal Shrines, the second map between the 2 teams at hand, and Griefers 2. They are in the lead after the last map. Infernal Shrines as a map, of course, with a very different objective here. Wave clear usually is a bit more of a priority on this map right now, and oftentimes we are talking about trying to pick heroes that can sustain themselves for a long time throughout the shrine phases. So in the past, that was, for example, a Sonya, which makes a bit of a comeback on this map. She's not really like a standard pick just yet, but we see her again a little bit more, and we have, of course, a bit of a priority on a hero like Gul'dan that so far we haven't seen in the series. But the first thing that happens is, of course, the bans, and since this is oftentimes a tank-heavy map, Griefers 2, they ban out Hikers.
Yeah, and Outlaws realizing that was unexpected, banning out the Tassadar. One, that makes it very unlikely they're going to be playing against a Tracer, or maybe even an Illidan. It can also remove a lot of protection for heroes like Sonya, like the heroes you mentioned before. But also, it was just immensely effective in the last game, so banning that out, a lot of sense here. And Griefers 2, starting out with the ETC.
Tesla getting a lot of value through his AoEs and of course as well on the map, but as you already said, like Tracer is basically shut down, so it's more or less a soft ban on Tracer and certain double support melee assassin combinations. But it gives Griefers 2 access to ETC, which we oftentimes see banned since he has a huge amount of playmaker potential, and with Stage Dive and Mosh Pit you have two amazing tools that you can use depending on the playstyle and your composition. But the Outlaws, they are this time locking down the Dehaka. We are seeing them start with the Malfurion, but Dehaka for the global presence is great. We talked about his split push abilities too, and we've really seen on the last map played by Griefers to how much of an impact he can have on these fights.
Yeah, so picking him up this early makes a lot of sense. Gives them, like you said, that global, gives them a little bit of extra AoE for the shrines, and it gives them a starting tank. So even if Muradin or something else is banned out, they can go for a second tank if they want, or even run him as solo, as we've seen quite a few times now. With Griefers 2, we're going to want to see them pick up at least some of their damage we already have seen. Nico reminding us just how bloody good he is on Li Ming, which he has been just ever since it came out. It's very nice to see him back on it. But for now, we're starting with a Kerrigan, who's very effective on the shrines here, and the Falstad. More globals.
Yeah, globals and of course the aggression with Kerrigan. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see a ban on Tyrael, considering that Griefers 2 really are trying to get targets on those shrine fights. With a Kerrigan, one of the ideas that you have is you try to dominate the entrances. When an opponent starts to funnel in, you can easily try and set a Kerrigan combo off, also together with an ETC slide, and just burst in those choke points a target away. But one of the heroes that more or less negates that is a Tyrael that can use the Sanctification once that Kerrigan starts to engage into that combo. So wouldn't really shock me if Griefers 2 were thinking about banning him out. The question, of course, still remains, does it really fit into the Outlaws combo here? But oftentimes it's a risk that teams are not willing to take. It's a very aggressive comp that they have, and in this setup, high chance that Falstad again goes for the Gathering Storm, since you oftentimes want to just have a bit more burst damage on point when Kerrigan gets that lockdown with the combo.
Yeah, so we will see an Ariel banned out for the Outlaws here. We've seen a lot of her every now and again, especially on this map. And with the Falstad, with the Kerrigan, you can get a lot of protection. Having Kerrigan jump in, realizing you've made that mistake, and having that panic button of the Aegis is probably one of the best things in the game. But seeing it banned out by the Outlaws, very smart move at this point. Just the power it gets in those big choke points on this map is so good.
The ban for the Grievous, again, Tyrael is an option, but there's also a lot of range damage dealers that could be banned out. You've talked a bit about the supports here, so Grievous 2, now that Oriel is banned, has to consider what are options for them. Are they going to go into a Rhaegar, which we see a little bit more? We've seen a lot of Brightwing play, of course, on the map now too. And you can make a few plays with that. The Rhaegar offers you the Lightning Shield, but it's not really the most common choice these days any longer. We see him a little bit more often again, but Brightwing was normally prioritized. Now the Vala ban. So damage banned out. And that, of course, is another damage dealer that, with the multi-shot build, can also get a lot of value on the shrine, since you can get a lot of minion stacks and it makes it easier for you to win the objective.
Very true. So, right now, Outlaws, considering their next pick, you already mentioned the material. It's a question if it fits into their comp, and a bit of that AoE damage is also going to be very useful. They have a lot of options still in terms of damage as they pick up the Jaina, someone who's going to very much benefit from that Malfurion, get that cooldown reduction, and the big AoE damage onto the shrines. Now, they've left themselves incredibly open for what their last couple picks are going to be. They do pick material, and even now still, they have a huge amount of options left for their last pick.
Now, once again, I want to highlight that Varian is actually playable. He is allowed. It's 2 weeks since the hero got released, so in the third qualifier here you can pick him up. In this setup, it doesn't really fit any longer, I would say. If you play Varian, though, I think it could really fit well into a Jaina comp. But yeah, we have the Tyrael, and I talked a bit about Tyrael potentially being banned out, and I'm pretty sure it was on Grievous 2's mind to ban him out. So Tyrael Sanctification will have to be one of the tools that they use against the Kerrigan on the shrine fights. But overall, they still need a bit more damage. We have a Sylvanas for extra pushing power now when you win the objective. And as a healer, I mean, yeah, we've been talking about it already quite a bit. I say it's either going to be Brightwing, or I suppose we... Actually, I was thinking... Nah. For a second, I was thinking if they might even drop in something like a Morales, but against the Tyrael and the Dehaka, I feel like that's not going to happen. So my money is still on Brightwing, or if not that, then at least the Rhaegar.
Yep, I would agree with that. I'd say with the amount of damage, I think they can get away with Brightwing. I don't think they need Rhaegar for that burst. As of right now, Outlaws don't have follow-up, but whichever one they pick, going to dictate whether the Outlaws go for more burst or more sustained damage. With the Rayguard, there's a chance they're going to go with more sustained damage to try and work their way through the Ancestral. Whether it was burst, the Ancestral would have been a little bit stronger for the side of Griefers. But let's see what they do run with.
Lightning Shield, of course, as well. It helps with the minions on the shrine. And Outlaws, I mean, we have still a couple of strong heroes that you can pick here. If you go on a Liming, on the other hand, for example, you have 2 mages that you play. With a Liming, you can make that happen, but oftentimes we are seeing teams that try to balance out the damage output a bit through a cooldown-based hero and someone that is reliant heavier on the auto attacks. In this setup right now, I mean, what are you playing there? If you pick in a different setup or against a different opponent set, I would have said that you could still try and go for Lunara here, which we have seen on this map in the past. In this particular case, I'm not quite sure if Lunara wouldn't be too juicy a target for a lot of the heroes that they're facing, especially, of course, the Carrigan. And they go for Thrall instead. So, triple frontline. Thrall gains a lot of value right now. That Earthquake is so powerful since the last patch. Infernal Shrines is a map where you have a lot on-point fights happening, so you can, with Thrall, really dominate such a battle. The one thing that speaks against it is that Falstad, if he's on point, will wait for the Earthquake to drop and then simply just use the Mighty Gust. Then again, if Tyrael sees it coming, he can try to counteract that again, so you can sort of say, like, counter the counter. But I mean, we're going to see all of that happening in the next map. So guys, Griefers 2, they are in the lead with the 1-0. We're going into the second game of the best of 3 series here on Infernal Shrines. Game number 2, everybody. We're currently looking at our match here on Infernal Shrines between Griefers 2 and the Outlaws. And to the left side, a team in the lead here at the HGC Qualifier. It is Griefers 2 with Shikhu on ETC, Kreku on Falstad, Juve on Carrigan, Nika on Sylvanas, and Polator, the new addition to the team after Leo from Poland left. He's playing Rhaegar. To the right side, Focus on Tyrael, Monster Bear, Malfurion, and in red we have Devil on Jaina, Air on Thrall, and Duck is playing Dehaka. So let's jump in right away and see which team is able to take the map. Are we going to see the 2-0 victory, or will they bring it back to a 1-1?
We did see the dance party at minimum. Griefers 2 very happy to be in the lead, and they were just buying time, waiting for the minions, as they are going to go for a minion block here. That has given Outlaws time to set up themselves into a gank-worthy position, but they're going to find no one, as Griefers 2 playing safe. And oh my god, that's one of the best minion blocks I've ever seen. That's so far.
Pretty sweet. So they get a decent one, then pull the opponent's wave in on top of that. So yeah, that worked out very nicely, and then they can make a very fast rotation down to the bottom. Devil was sitting in the bush, he's immediately piecing out there. He's like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. And even going for Malfurion here for a little bit. Have to be careful, that could be a drag even. But overall, very aggressive rotation, and I like it. They start off with a... like, they win the rotation battle right now, hands down. They got the super early kill on the top wave, and now they simply move in, and they are always a bit faster than the opponent. Very well played. That was a block that gave them a lot of space.
Yeah, however, the one lane they aren't doing so hot in is top lane, as Thrall is doing Thrall things. However, they look to change that right now by going in for the gank. They get the first stun. In comes Kerrigan with a great body block straight away. The Hammerang misses. The drag misses. AR, can he seriously get out? He gets the healing, and he escapes.
Wow. Like, that should not happen. You just really burn a lot of resources going up there, and then you miss the kill. Ah, that must hurt right now. I mean, it's still a 5 versus 3 at the top lane, so that means that we have heroes in the mid lane and down to the bottom of the map that soak experience for Grievous too, and are also pushing these lanes, and so that's a bit of a saving grace, I want to say. They have a slight lead, which could translate in the earlier level 4, and therefore an extra talent that might give them a lead for the Shrine, but not getting the kill on Thrall there definitely hurt.
It did, however, relieve a little bit of pressure onto the top lane, so it could have been worse, but like you said, they really wanted that kill to try and snowball themselves, as they have been in some of their previous games. But with the Shrine starting, a big head start is being left over to the Outlaws, as Griefers 2 not rotating yet, despite having the talent advantage, because they wanted to push top a bit more.
Now, one of the things that I want to point out again is that a lot of teams have lately also just simply let the early punishers go. It's something that the blue team can afford to do, I feel. The red one, not so much because of Sylvanas, but they are still trying to fight for it. Here comes the Blizzard down as Juve is all of a sudden in a bit of trouble. He went in for the combo, but didn't get the kill off. Focus is moving back. Everybody is just on the retreat here on the side of Grievous 2. The Polish team, they yield on the Shrine, yield their position, and move back for a quick tap at the fountain. But it looks like they're attempting to go back in and fight for it.
They're too late though. 36, 38, and 40. That is a Punisher going over to Outlaws, and a Yuva going over to Outlaws as well. They may even get the false at Kreku. No, good barrel roll over the wall. He gets out. But that went disastrous. Basically, the Kerrigan stun did not land in that initial engagement. And Outlaws reacting so quickly, just immediately walked all the way through that and just made sure to engage it to the backline.
Did you see that? Okay, guys, when we basically saw that, you might have been confused for a moment about the haunting wave that Nika sent to the right. So the idea here is the following. You're trying to bait the Punisher over the wall. The reasoning is fairly simple. If you stand in front of the wall, the Punisher is going to be triggered, especially when they attack him, and going to jump on you. When he jumps in front of the wall, the jump is on cooldown, and therefore he won't jump behind the wall where not only the fort, but also an extra tower is attacking him, and you have an easy time defending against him. So players, what they do when they lose a Punisher is immediately they move behind the wall, and they have a ranged hero attack the Punisher so that he jumps over the wall. He stuns out the target, and then you just try to burst him down. But sometimes you have opponents' teams that try to capitalize on the stun. So what Nika was trying to do here, he sent a haunting wave to the left, started to attack the Punisher, expected the jump that didn't trigger though, and then the wave just basically ended, and that's the time that the Punisher chose to finally hop over the wall and stun him in the face anyways. Nika wasn't really too pleased about that.
Yeah, the Punisher is a little bit temperamental about when it stuns. It's based on vision entirely, so you have to be very careful about how and when you activate it and who activates it. Yeah, you obviously wanted to jump on the tank or the person who can dodge it, but someone like ETC doesn't actually have too many abilities that will reveal himself to the Punisher.
Yeah, overall, no. They can't get the top lane. Oh, poor guy. Good dodge, though. Duck is still alive. He's on a run. And they're just saying, like, not again, please. No. Not again. Oh,
Polar top.
Polator jumps in from the bot lane. He's a hungry, hungry wolf. Not a hippo, and takes him down. Thrall is also dying, so they get a double kill. But I swear to God, for a moment, they were just like, please no. Please someone kill him. It's only one hit. Make it happen.
Yeah, multiple times now the Griefers too have attempted to go for kills, and the second time they finally got it, but it was a near escape once again. But Griefers 2 still continuing to hold an ever so slight lead, able to clear up those mercenaries very quickly. Thanks to Nika on this Sylvanas. He'll be able to rotate up to top very quickly once he's finished clearing bot lane to relieve some pressure for his team.
Yeah, so as we're going for the second Punisher, you will also again see the attempted bait over the wall. And if you take anything from this game and you're a little bit newer to Heroes of the Storm, then definitely remember that playing on Infernal Shrines. We're going to talk about it in a moment. For now, both of the teams, of course, trying to take position. We have an early lead in minion stacks for the blue team. Grievous 2 already has 10. And they're aggressively starting to push into the temple, looking for an opening for Kerrigan.
Yeah, Healing Totem is dropped, continuing to give that healing, and Kerrigan did pick Simulation Master. We're seeing a lot more nowadays. They try to get Tyrael, but the root landed on ETC, taking him down early, and Outlaws looking to control every single one of these fights thanks to those Malfurion roots.
This is one of the problems that you have with ETC. He dies just a little bit faster compared to other tanks, but also Tyrael being dropped here. AR in trouble. Duck 2, but the explosion on Falstad takes him out, and that is a 2-for-1 overall. So they trade Tyrael for Falstad. ETC is back, but still has to make his way over to the top. 31 stacks against 28. Duck is low. They're jumping him. He goes for the drag. They attempt to make it another kill. Burrow saves the Haka. Kerrigan is dead, but ETC arrives.
Yeah, it's now a 3 versus 4 still, but they're going on to AR. Lots of low mana. They get the kill. And it's still actually somehow, despite being pushed out of the shrine multiple times, we still see Griefers 2 with an advantage in the demons, and they will get the Punisher.
They get the Punisher. It's a mortar Punisher, and you see
them
move behind the wall to trigger the Punisher, but still a kill against Malfurion. So yeah, they're going to try and make a jump. There we go. Nice escape by Focus. Immediately used his Elrune's Grace. Elrune's Might to actually jump back. But with Sylvanas, it's a bit of a different story since, well, she can still disable towers and structures like the fort, so yeah, they get massive value. It's one of the main reasons why you would run a Sylvanas on this map in particular.
Yeah, the Black Arrow trait that Sylvanas does have stuns up buildings. That is the exact wording, so they are unable to react in any way. And now they're going to use it. They're going to let the Punisher get killed off here, but it's still tanky. It's going to buy some time while they push the mid lane.
Now they get another wall over there, and we have level 10 abilities for both of the teams, of course. This is where Earthquake comes into play. Sanctification as well. Yeah, and That was not really a whole lot of synergy that we had with that. Both of them had the same idea, disengage and make sure that we don't get jumped here. Sylvanas with the Wailing Arrow, False with the Mighty Gust. They didn't communicate that properly, so they used both of the abilities, wasting one cooldown more or less, and the one on Sylvanas hurts a lot more since it's quite a bit long.
Yeah, the 80-second cooldown on that Wailing Arrow, sorry, 90-second cooldown on that Wailing Arrow is pretty devastating. Jekyll trying to stun up Monster Bear, instead just zones him away. Here's the Ring of Frost though, does not land, in fact does land on Kerrigan, who is getting taken down here, tries to drop the Maelstrom, but gets taken out so early.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that fight. Falset goes down, and that seemed like it was telegraphed from a mile away. You can't head into a team battle if you just blew 2 of their cooldowns and you got nothing in exchange. They went in there without Wailing Arrow and without a Mighty Gust against the Earthquake. They got silenced right away. The Ring of Frost was on the ground. That was a really questionable move that we just saw from Grievous too. They should not have taken this fight.
Yeah, that was very weird. Like, Kerrigan, even with the Assimilation Mastery, if she really wanted to survive that, she should have popped the Maelstrom way earlier, but the fact is she popped it so late and got 0 value. Jekyll, though, trying to get something out of this. Round 2, Monster Bear. They land the stun. Monster Bear getting focused out. Nico was rooted, but gets himself over the wall with the Haunting Wave. But here comes the Sanctification onto Dak.
The zoning mosh in the backline, not hitting anything, but just zoning out like Jaina for a moment. They secure the kill. And, I mean, I think this is actually what triggered that last fight that they lost so hard, that they were just so focused on trying to isolate the Malfurion and killing him, and Monster Bear did a good job escaping to the top that they just didn't realize how everyone started to converge onto them. So of course, in hindsight, it was a bit of an oversight on their part, but I feel they never really attempted to go into a team fight, but just got baited into the battle a bit longer than expected, and then it turned into a full 5-on-5 team fight that they just straight out lost for that reason. Now they have the talent lead though, and we have a Shrine on the map. Couldn't be better with the timing with the kill on Thrall.
Yeah, Monster Bear has been doing a good job of keeping himself alive after this engagement, but with the Eviscerate on Kerrigan now, that's going to become a lot more difficult, and we also have the Face Melt on ETC. Not going for the Echo Pedal, for the Encore this time, because he doesn't want to knock them away again, because it makes it harder for Kerrigan to land her combo. So instead, just dropping the slow, so that they have a better chance of killing the single hero who they engage each time. But Malfurion, now with the Ice Block to prevent that, Thrall, not so lucky. He does not get Ice Block, so we'll see what talent he ends up picking. It's going to be the Spell Shield for any chance of protection for himself.
We have a really interesting talent on level 13 for Sylvanas. It's more of like a Hero League talent that we just see now.
Yeah.
But I guess we have to wait talking about it for a moment. Punish has now been taken. Okay, so we have Life Drain actually claimed. Ah, nice cleanse on Juve as he gets away. But Life Drain is a bit weird in this setup. Normally what you're trying to do with Sylvanas is you get a lot of Playmaker ability if you just go for the double Haunting Wave so that you can simply recharge also your Q stacks. There comes the Earthquake though, as we see a battle happening with Thrall being isolated. He gets taken out, and now it is a massive push. The Haka's already in the burrow, but he's not going to get away from this one. At least he shouldn't. He's getting jumped and claimed immediately. Even Nika jumps in on his Haunting Wave, gets the kill in there, and now we have them simply disabling all the structures. Tyrael is dead. It's a triple kill. The Punisher is being pushed. There's Sylvanas there. Malfurion is down. This is a complete disaster here for the Outlaws. They are falling apart in this fight now.
That was a beautiful. We actually saw Falstad drop the Mighty Gust onto Tyrael there. And at the same time, ETC used Face Belt to knock him back, so he was pushed forward and then immediately knocked back, so he wasn't pushed the full distance out of their engage, and then got killed off. It was absolutely great. But now, like you said, they're using Sylvanas. They're going to grab the first keep of the game. They're going to back out because the Punisher does not have enough health. But Thrall, he wants to get at least something out of this, please.
Why fight there? Yeah, this is a bit... Okay, they have their cooldowns up. I think that's the one reason why they were willing to take a battle. Thrall had to be careful so the rest of the team was still busy. But the problem is still it's 16 versus 14, which means an extra talent. But it brings us back again to Sylvanas, who now went into the Evasive Fire. So you have a bit of a movement speed boost, but it's interesting to see that we don't have the double Haunting Wave for her, and normally when you don't take that, I mean the only other talent that we sometimes see is your panic button. So you're trying to make yourself unstoppable for a moment if you feel that there's lockdown on the opponent's side. Oftentimes you play it against a Kerrigan when you are afraid of being jumped and you're trying to escape there. So that's not happening there either. I have to admit that this is the first time that I see Life Drain in a competitive environment.
I've been experimenting with these two talents in conjunction, and it basically allows Sylvanas just to stay in lane a lot longer. That is a mighty gust used on Monster Bear. Kreku takes a lot of keep damage. Sylvanas disables it now, but look at the speed of Sylvanas. She's able to join up with her team while also helping out Kreku. They're gonna get Monster Bear eventually, although he's pulling some very nice jukes and jives. But they're now going to be able to move onto the fort with the help of the Mercenary camp, but Nick has basically put himself in a position where he's very hard to lock down, and he's going to be a target a lot of the time. He has great chase potential and some really solid sustain, which is going to work out for him. He doesn't need the double wave because he's not the backline damage dealer, because Kerrigan and DPC keep him locked down enough for Nick to get there anyway.
But I don't think you need that talent. I mean, lane sustain on 13, this is a 5 versus 5 setup anyway, so it's just like you have a healer right there that has even AoE heal with the wave. So I'm a little bit confused by the talent choice, but overall that teamfight coordination is now on point. They had a couple of shaky moments for sure, but now we have 16 versus 18, so even talents. And this is actually the moment when a lot of teams make the mistake of thinking that they're still far ahead because they had so much momentum going for themselves and they feel that they are in the lead. But this is when you are, as the team that is behind, are trying to make a comeback. When you're on even talents again, even the 2-level difference is not going to give your opponent enough of an edge to just, yeah, give them a straight-up victory in these battles. So this Shrine is the one moment for the Outlaws when they can make a comeback happen.
Yeah, like you said, even talents, everyone alive, mid lane pushed up barely enough that they can afford to ignore it for just a minute or so. So they need to make something happen. They're trying, focus, pushing forward. Shinkle with the face melt and the face smelt. Try and get something. Yuba coming in to try and prevent it here. ETC tries to get out of there, but instead he gets picked off, and now it's Yuba who's the target.
Yeah, and welcome to that team fight that we just talked about. This is the moment where they can make a comeback, and they look for the fight before they go for the Punisher, and it was really well executed. Thrall goes in, he drops the Earthquake, Malfurion didn't even have to use his silence. We didn't see any kind of Ring of Frost on the ground, not even Isolation being used. They jumped in right away, nothing could be used against them since the Sank was perfectly timed there. Silence Arrow didn't do enough, and all of a sudden they get a kill against ETC that gets isolated by the Haka. Well played here. And from that point on, they need to give that up, but they move to the bot lane where they now are about to get another keep. So it's a perfect reaction out of Griefers 2.
They pulled back though. They, like you said, they forced a reaction. They were able to get a little bit of work done. They don't need to guarantee that keep kill yet. They will be able to go back and get it later with the help of the Sylvanas, as she's now a huge amount safer in lane than she would be normally, although the double haunting wave, like we did mention, does still work. It's just a different style for the same result with more health. But that Punisher now going to begin pushing the top lane. We're actually going to see Nick and Kreku clear this bot Mercenary camp to help that push the bot lane. They started a bit earlier first before heading back to help. So they are trying to just get as maximum value from their map presence as possible.
They want 20, of course, at this point. That would be ideal for the next battle, but right now they just have to wait and defend. And as long as they hold the keep here, it's fine. As you said, they took the camp at the bot lane, so that's pushing hard. The Haka will have to try and take care of it, which means they can't push with 5 at the top lane, so they can't make an aggressive move for the keep here without risking to be wiped, so they don't even go for it. Thrall, by the way, changed his build up significantly. Normally we see the Giant Killer and him going for the Tempest Fury level 16, but with Spell Shield and Blood for Blood, he's actually just trying to stay alive during these fights. He realized that a lot of the focus is on him when he tries to get the Earthquake into position. At this point, the jump is again happening, but this is a fight pre-20. They are forcing a pre-20 fight here. Nice silence, no sanctification being used. Great mosh pit now too. That's the battle that they wanted, and a good mighty gust to round things up as they are starting to clean house here.
The Ring of Frost very nearly turning it around, but it is too late. Dak now is the target. Shufu cutting off his retreat by going over the wall, and we will see Grievous 2 pushing into the core.
It was actually really well played here. They got a good isolation, and you could see that Tyrael was attempting to go for Sanctification. He probably even told his mates he would do that, but we had Sylvanas with a perfect silence on him so that he couldn't do that at all. Now it's a 2-0 victory. Well played. Grievous 2, they take the game and have now, of course, a free pass into the next round. Congratulations and well played.